Hi, everybody. Welcome to Baphomet's Lounge. So, I see my buddy Jafo went skydiving just recently, and it reminds me of the two times that I went, both of which I went were in Germany. My first one, and I had a card that said that I jumped from 3,000 meters, which was like 12,500 feet, was my uncle Boris was a skydiver, and he he picked it up later in life as a hobby. And I was 18 at the time. I think it was the summer of '88 when I graduated from high school. I went with my mother, and my uncle Boris paid for me to do a tandem jump. And I remember the tandem master, as they call him, the guy that was jumping with me, and that's the way you jump if you ever go by yourself for a one-time jump. If you want to get a free fall, you have to go tandem. If you want to study to jump, you have to take time, and then you jump out with an automatic chute from 1,000 meters, like a third of the distance, and you have like a 3-second chute. 3-second free fall, chute opens. And then if you go with a tandem guy, a tandem master, as it's called, that person will guide you through, and, you're pretty much stapled to him. And you'll, get the full effect of the free fall. So I remember his name was Christoph. He was a younger guy. Maybe he must have been in his late 20s at that time. And we go on the airplane now. When you go tandem, you're clipped. You're wearing a harness. The guy's in front of you, and you're clipped here on the shoulders, and then you're clipped to the sides when you get out on the plane, or just as you're ready to get. You're clipped to the sides, and they pull these buckles, so you're like this on top, right next to each other, And I remember we get on the plane. And now this may have changed because I noticed it differently. Jafo shot a video, but from what my uncle Boris was telling me way back then was like if you keep your hands out like that, out straight, and I'll just show you out like that, and like you can't just go pull your chute like this because you'll spin. It's very aerodynamic. You have to pull your chute like this, so you spin out. So I remember I'm like holding on like this. And I remember we step outside of this plane, which was the size of a sardine can. And I'm standing outside of the plane. He's holding on the edges. His feet are inside, and I'm just dangling like this. And I'm like, I don't know what am I doing? And he goes, "Are you ready?" And I go, every fiber of my being was going, "No!" For some reason, my mouth yelled, "Yeah!" So he jumps, and we go, and I remember, that for 3 seconds, I was like, that fear that you get when, or that, the roller coaster feeling. And, all of a sudden, it was like 3 seconds, and I'm like, yeah! And it was like amazing. And like I say, it was 60 seconds. Then the chute pulls out, and you're going from like, 150 miles an hour, 120 miles an hour. I don't know what the terminal velocity is to, 1 mile an hour. It was like, I didn't know what happened. He pulls the chute, and then he's like, "Hey, great damn fucking yeah!" Yeah, great damn fucking yeah. And then what he did is he said, "Stand on my feet," which was the weirdest thing. And we're still very high up. He held his feet, and I stood on there. He lifted his feet up, and then he unbuckled here, so that we didn't have to, so, we got a little bit of a, sway there. And then, pulling the chutes, and I get down, and, and it was really interesting because they're saying, okay, now we pull the chute for the brakes as we get to the, down. And it was like jumping off, a desk, just dump. It was no big deal. But my mind was, where I would have pulled the chute would have been further on down. I just didn't have that depth perception. He said, "Okay, now." And I thought, oh, we got some more time. And I remember we land on the runway, perfect landing, and then the wind picks up and picks the chute up, is pulling the chute, and I'm like being dragged along, because my shoulders are still chained to the guy, and he's being pulled, and like 3 or 4 guys run up, and they stamp down the chute, and we get out, and then that night we went to a bar. And I had Franziskaner. I had Franziskaner Cristal, which is that beer with a Cristal, I think, is champagne. And then I had my very first Weizen beer, Franziskaner Hefeweizen. I remember my Uncle Boris telling me, hey, you got to try this out, Hefeweizen. And I got pretty bombed, and it was fun. The second time I went was back, it was August 16th, 2002. So the first time was, was with Boris, and it was in Kassel. Kassel's where he lived in Germany, and it was probably one of the small towns around there. I don't know how far we drove, et cetera, et cetera. So the second time, it was in 2002, August 16th. I was in Germany. My wife had left, and I was, trying to get my head together, and I went to Germany to hang with my Uncle Branko, my other uncle, and my cousins, Daniel, Nina, Lars, and Jens. And I believe he's Trossingen was a small town that he's out of, but this one was a small little village, Villigen-Schwenningen, and they had, and it was real cool, this little airport. And you could, go for the tandem jump. My tandem master, his name was Peter Gersh. And what was kind of cool is, so this small little airport is all grass. And at the end of the airport was this little pub. And people would just go and get a drink. This is the European thing, much more relaxed. And they'd get some beers or some coffee or stuff. And they just watch the skydivers, slowly come down. Now, when I went this time, and this is a interesting story. There were two little planes, and these planes actually made the other plane I went in look large. I mean, they were small little planes, and if I remember, the plane had, like, the door was open, the whole time. It was like a Matchbox car plane. Peter was showing me around. He told me what we need to do and this and that. And there was only two of us in that plane. The other guy who took a video there in 2002 at the time, and I was trying to get a copy of that, and haven't since never got that. But Peter was introducing me to everybody. Of course, I'm the American, and people are, hi, how are you? And there was four people. Two young girls, probably in their 20s. I mean, I'm 32 at the time, probably in their late 20s, mid to late 20s. And a young guy. And then there was this 38-year-old lady who I later found out was a mother of two. And I know I met her. I just can't see her face. But I know I met her. I know in my heart of hearts that as I introduced myself, oh yeah, this is from Noel, he's from the U.S., and hi, we're all going up, shake hands. So we go up in the airplane, and what was interesting this time was, we exited out straight face first, and so we go out in the airplane, we jump, we do the landing, and it's great. And I said, Peter, come, I buy you a beer. I'll be at the club here, the little pub there. And he says, yeah, okay, no problem. Let me pack up the chute, and I'll be right there. So we're drinking, and then I see these two girls come down, and they spiral down, and they land. And then I see the plane comes down, the other plane. There was two planes that had gone. The other plane comes down, and the young guy gets out, and he just barrels on out of there. And what's going on? And then Peter comes up to me, and he says, yes, something happened. Something went happen. I'll get back to you. I can't. And he goes off. And, everybody's sort of, well, something happened. And all of a sudden, you see a helicopter comes by and goes like over. There's like a little barn or shack, where they had, where we sort of loaded up. Comes over there, Red Cross helicopter, or, medical helicopter, the Red Cross, I don't know if it's particularly a Red Cross, comes down and lands on the other side of the building. It turns out that 38-year-old mother of two was in that thing she jumped. Now, they were training, so they were doing the lower jumps. They were going solo, not me, who went all the way up to the 3,000 meters of the 12.5 feet. And apparently, her chute wrapped around her leg, or the automatic chute. Now, what should have happened, she panicked, obviously. There's always a reserve chute that will pop. She must have panicked and she didn't cut that first chute, which is what she should have done. She should have cut that first chute. Then the reserve chute would have opened and then she would have landed. But unfortunately, then when the reserve chute opened, it followed suit with the other chute, wrapped around her leg, and she plunged like 4,000 feet, 3,000 feet to her death. And that was quite a sobering moment, coming from the exhilaration of this wonderful free fall, and I'm going through as I'm going through my rebirth and the divorce, and I was so depressed as I'm trying to build myself back up, and then to have that happen, that was, like I said, very sobering. So I say this to you, as I say to everybody, from somebody, and I'll get into this some other time, but I was so distraught by my divorce at the time that I tried to commit suicide. And strange as it seems, why would I ever do that? But I understand. Embrace life. Embrace life. It really, I can't speak for everybody, but I'm glad that I'm alive, and to this young lady who's been gone for, well, it'll be nigh on 20 years, 18 years now. Her kids must be young adults now. I hope they're done well. To know this, it's wherever you are, and, peace be with you. And, I was there, I guess. So don't let that stop you from jumping from a plane or doing what it's an exhilarating experience, and life is a strange thing. We can't promise anything, as we know, as we're in the middle of the throes of a pandemic right now. Never saw that one coming. So I'll leave you with this. Those are my stories about being skydiving. Embrace life. Please take a few minutes out of your day to wear the mask. It's just good practice to just help stop this bullshit that's going on. It's not a political stance. It's not a freedom stance. Just wear a fucking mask, okay? You don't have to wear it all the time. Wear it when you're socializing or you're out and about. Just don't be a douche, okay? So, until the next episode, peace, everybody.